blues they come, yes, the blues they come. Nobody knows where the blues come from. The blues they go, yes, the blues they go. And everybody's happy when the old blues go. Here we are, babies in the cradle, brothers gone to town, sisters in the parlor trying on a gown, and mama's in the kitchen messing all around, and papa's on the housetop, he won't come down. We're going to start off singing a West African welcome that I learned from Deborah Sizemore, who used to teach in Buncombe County, and then eventually she taught in Asheville. And the lyrics are very simple. You just have to learn 2 phrases. And the first is, Fanga Alafia, Ashe, Ashe. Can you try that? Fanga Alafia, Ashe, Ashe. Very good. And the other line is, Kiwa Alewa, Ashe, Ashe. Kiwa Alewa, Ashe, Ashe. And then there is a little chorus that goes, Ashe, 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 Ashe. But I'll sing the first line, and the melody is repeated. It's a very simple chant. Okay, so it goes. Fanga alafia, ashe, ashe. You try it. Fanga alafia, ashe, ashe. And it's going to come down. Fanga alafia, ashe, ashe. Great. Kiwa alewa, ashe, ashe. Kiwa alewa, ashe, ashe. And ashe, ashe. Ashe, 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 ashe. Once more. Fanga lafia, ashe, ashe. Fanga lafia, ashe, ashe. Kiwa, kiwa alewa, ashe, ashe. Kiwa alewa, ashe, ashe. Ashe, 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 ashe. Welcome. And welcome to this hour. I can tell you, sing boldly, and hopefully you'll help me tell some stories fairly boldly. I'm going to start off with a Russian folk tale, and of course, as I get many of my stories from listening to tellers, I got this one from a fabulous picture book. Can't remember the name of the author right now, but it's called Too Much Noise, and so I need some animal noises. And they need to be farm, as Mickey is here. We need some farm animals, and I can tell you right now that one of them has to be, a particular animal has to be a sheep. But I'd like to have from you 3 other farm animals. 3 other farm animals. What would you suggest? Pigs. All right. Another one. A horse. All right. And a cow. All right. Let's see if we can ask this group on the floor here and the first 2 rows to be the pig. If I can hear a pig noise when I point to you, I'd like to hear your pig noises. Oh, that's good. That's good. And then I'll do it like a conductor. I will, point to you, and you should make your noise, and then I'll cut you off, and I'll tell you to continue, and I might tell you to get louder. Okay, we have a pig. What was the other one? A horse? These 2 rows back there. Horse noise. Let's hear the horses. Great. All right. A cow. A cow. Will you guys and this first 2 rows be the cows? Good. I like the sound. And I'm going to ask you all to be the sheep. Okay, let's hear the sheep. Very good. Those are some powerful sheep. All right, let's just have a little practice. Pigs. Horses. Okay. And cows. Ooh, great. And sheep. All right. Thank you. And now we shall begin. There once was a man who lived way outside the village, and his name was Peter. And he loved the quiet. He loved the quiet. But one night, he went to bed, and the floor went squeak, and the bed went creak, and the tea kettle went and the leaves on the roof went swish, swish, swish. And he said, oh, there's too much noise. How can I sleep when there is all of this noise going on? So he decided that the next day he would go to the village and speak to the wise man and present him with this problem. So he went to the wise man's house, knocked on the door, and the wise man said, come in. And Peter stepped in to the wise man's house. There were shelves and shelves from floor to ceiling filled with books, desks and tables with lamps and books open and paper spread all over them. And way back in the corner on the top of a ladder, getting a book from a shelf, was the wise man. Oh, Peter, what can I do for you? He came down the ladder, and Peter said, well, wise man, every night I go to bed, there's so much noise I cannot sleep. The floor goes squeak, the bed goes creak, tea kettle goes shh, and the leaves on the roof go swish, swish, swish. What can I do? And the wise man said, Peter, I know exactly what you should do. You should go to the market, and you should buy yourself a pig, and take that pig home and see how you do tonight. A pig? What good's a pig? But Peter did it anyhow. He went to the market, got himself a pig, and that night he went home, and the floor went squeak, and the bed went creak, and the tea kettle went and the leaves on the roof went swish, 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 and the pig went. And Peter said, there's still too much noise. What is it with this pig? And the next morning he went back to the wise man, and he said, wise man, I still have trouble sleeping at night. I go to bed, the floor goes squeak, the bed goes creak, tea kettle goes, leaves on the roof goes swish, 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 and that pig you told me to get goes. I cannot sleep. Oh, and he says, of course, I am so sorry, Peter. What you must do is go to the market and get yourself a horse. Take that home tonight and see how that is. A horse. What good's a horse? But Peter did it anyway. He got the horse, went home, and that night when he went to bed, the floor went squeak, the bed went creak, the tea kettle went leaves on the roof went swish, 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 and the pig went. And the horse went. And Peter said, no, this will never do. I still cannot sleep. So the next morning he went back to the wise man and said, wise man, I am so sorry to bother you again, but I did exactly what you said. And last night I went home, and the floor went squeak, the bed went creak, tea kettle went leaves on the roof went swish, 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 the pig went. And then that horse you told me to get went. And I could not sleep. Well, of course you could not sleep. Of course you could not sleep. Because what you need is a cow. A cow? What's a cow? But he went home and got the cow at the market and went home. And that night when he went to bed, the floor went squeak, the bed went great, tea kettle went, leaves on the roof went swish, 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 the pig went. And the horse went. And the cow went. Oh, and Peter did not even get to close his eye before he went home and went back to town the next morning to the wise man and said, wise man, it's getting worse and worse. Last night I went to bed. I tried to go to bed, and the floor went squeak, the bed went creak, tea kettle went leaves on the roof went swish, 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 and the pig went, and the horse went, and the cow went. Oh, it was too much noise. What can I do? I cannot sleep. I don't know if I can trust you with anything. Of course you can trust me, Peter. What you need is a little sheep. It has all that soft wool. It will just soak up all that noise, and you will sleep peacefully. A sheep. All right. He went to the market, got a sheep, and that night, when he went home, went to bed, the floor went squeak, the bed went creak, the tea kettle went sleaze, the roof went swish, 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 and the pig went, and the horse went, and the cow went, and the sheep went. Oh, said Peter, how can anyone sleep like this? I am going to see that wise man now. So he took up his pig and his horse and his cow and the sheep, and he went into town with them all to see the wise man, and he banged on the door. And the wise man woke up. Peter, wise man, he said, I told you I had a problem. And you said you had a solution. And I did everything you said. And tonight, I went home. Yes, just this very night I tried to go to bed doing what you said. The floor went squeak, and the bed went creak, tea kettle went sss, and the leaves on the roof went swish, 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 and that pig, the pig you told me to get, went keep going, and the horse went keep going, and the cow went, and that sheep you told me to get. Listen to this, wise man. I could not sleep. And the wise man said, oh, Peter, what you need to do is go to the marketplace. It'll be open soon. And you need to sell that pig and that horse and the cow and the sheep and go home and see if you can sleep tonight. So Peter did what the wise man said. And that night, when he went to bed, the floor went creak. And he said, oh, what a little sound that is. And the bed went squeak. Oh, that sounds like just a tiny little thing. It's not so bad. The tea kettle went oh, it's like little birdies singing me to sleep. And the leaves on the roof went swish, swish, swish. A lullaby. And that night, for the first time in a long, long time, Peter had very quiet dreams. Thank you for helping me tell. Too much noise. Too much noise. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm not going to let you rest just yet. There is a song about cats. And do any of you know what the folklore says about cats? How many lives they might have?
9.
Whoa, 9 lives. Cat has 9 lives. Well, this cat in this song definitely has 9 lives, but we're not going to sing 9 verses. We're just going to sing, I don't know, 2 or 3. And I'd like you to sing the chorus. And it's, the lyrics are, the cat came back, she wouldn't stay no longer. The cat came back, she wouldn't stay away. The cat came back, thought she was a goner, but the cat came back on the very next day. And the melody is like this. We'll sing it through a couple of times and then I'll start the song. Here we go. Cat came back. The cat came back. She wouldn't stay no longer. The cat came back. She wouldn't stay away. The cat came back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back on the very next day. Oh, you are good singers. I'm going to pick up the tempo a little bit. And we'll start the song. him, said he'd do his best. But the cat came back, wouldn't stay no longer. The cat came back, she wouldn't stay away. The cat came back, thought she was a goner, but the cat came back on the very next day. Well, he gave him to a boy with a $1 note. Take him out in the river with your little yellow boat. He tied a rope around his neck and must have weighed a pound, but the cat, yesterday, oh my goodness, I forgot the words. The cat came back, she wouldn't stay no longer. The cat came back, she wouldn't stay away. The cat came back, thought she was a goner, but the cat came back on the very next day. Let's see if I do better on this verse. The man around the corner swore he'd kill that cat on sight, and he loaded up his gun with nails and dynamite. He waited and he waited for the cat to come around, but 97 pieces of the man was all they found. But that cat came back, she wouldn't stay no longer. The cat came back, she wouldn't stay away. The cat came back, thought she was a goner, but the cat came back on the very next day. All right. Well, they searched and they searched. They found that cat a place on the very next NASA rocket headed into space. The rocket shot off orbit. They thought they had it made, but the cat returned in triumph for a ticker tape parade. Oh, the cat came back, she wouldn't stay no longer. The cat came back, she wouldn't stay away. The cat came back, thought she was a goner, but the cat came back on the very next day. Very next day again. On the very next day. 2 more times. On the very next day. Real quiet. On the very next day. Great. You guys are great singers. That song leads into this story about an old woman who was cooking porridge on her fire. The pot was on the fire, cat laying next to the pot and at her feet on the hearth. And she was cooking and cooking and stirring, and she realized not only did she forget to put salt in there, she forgot it because she didn't have any salt. And so she needed to run to the neighbor ladies to borrow some salt. But she needed to keep stirring the porridge. So she turned to her cat and asked, "Will you stir the porridge while I go to get some salt?" And the cat said, "Sure." So she gave the spoon to the cat and went off to borrow the salt. And the cat stood there stirring and stirring the porridge, and it smelled so good that he had to take a taste. And it tasted so good that he had to have some more. And more. And he pulled the pot off the fire and started eating all the porridge. And then he ate the pot. Oh, 2. And when the old woman came back, she didn't see her porridge, but she saw her cat. "My little cat, what have you been eating?" And the cat said, "I ate the porridge and the pot too. And now I'm going to eat you." "Oh, no, you cat." Oh. And the fat cat decided to go for a walk. Out the door, the gate, and down the road, when he ran into Lincoln lot. And Skolinkenlot said, "Oh, my little cat, what have you been eating? You are so fat." And the cat said, "Well, I ate the old woman and the porridge and the pot, too. And now I am going to eat you." "Oh, no. It's what? And the fat cat continued on his walk when he met Hottentot. And Hottentot saw him and said, "Oh my goodness, my little cat, what have you been eating? You are far too fat." And the cat said, "Well, I ate Skolinkenlot, the old woman, the porridge, and the pot, too. And now I'm going to eat you." And the fat cat continued on his walk when he saw 5 birds in a flock. And they all said, "Oh, my little cat, what have you been eating? You are far too fat." And the cat said, "I ate Hottentot, Skolinkenlot, the old woman, the porridge, and the pot, too. And now I'm going to eat you." And the fat cat continued on his walk when he came across 7 girls dancing. And they said, "Oh, my little cat, what have you been eating? You're so fat." And the cat said, "Well, I ate 5 birds in a flock, Hottentot, Skolinkenlot, the old woman, the porridge, and the pot, too. And now I'm going to eat you." And the fat cat continued on his walk when he saw a lady with a pink parasol. And she said, "Oh, my little cat, what have you been eating? You are so fat." And the cat said, "I ate 7 girls in a flock, 7 girls dancing, 5 birds in a flock, Hottentot, Skolinkenlot, the old woman, the porridge, and the pot, too. And now I'm going to eat you." "Oh, no, please. And the fat cat continued on his walk when he saw a parson with a crooked staff. And the parson said, "Oh, my goodness, my dear little cat. Bless you, what have you been eating? You are far too fat." And the cat said, "I ate a lady with a pink parasol, 7 girls dancing, 5 birds in a flock, Hottentot, Skolinkenlot, the old woman, the porridge, and the pot, too. Now I'm going to eat you." "Oh no, please. Oh God, have mercy on my soul." Oh. And the fat cat continued on his walk when he met a woodcutter. And the woodcutter said, "Oh, my little cat, what have you been eating? You are far too fat." And the cat said, "Oh, I ate a parson with a crooked staff and a lady with a pink parasol and 7 girls dancing, 5 birds in a flock, Hottentot, Skolinkenlot, the old woman, the porridge, and the pot, too. And now I'm going to eat you." "Oh, no, you are not." And the woodcutter took his axe and swung it into the stomach of the fat cat. And out popped the parson with the crooked staff, the lady with the pink parasol, 7 girls dancing, 5 birds, and a floss, and the old woman, and finally her pot. And she picked up her pot and grabbed her cat by the scruff of its neck and went home. That's The Fat Cat, a Danish folk tale as retold by Jack Kent. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Ooh. Thank you. All righty. Well, I'm going to ask you to sing again. And this time it's a little call and response. African American, traditional, I learned it from Suzanne Williams, who was a librarian, who said she learned it from an Ella Jenkins record. And I will call to you and ask you, did you feed my cow? And the answer, you should answer like the polite children you are. Yes, ma'am. And I'll ask, what did you feed her? And then you need to show me as well as answer, and you say, corn and hay. Corn and hay. And then I'll ask, did you milk her good? And of course the answer is yes, ma'am. And when I ask, how did you milk her? You need to say and show, squish, squish, squish. And then I'll say, I'll ask you, did my cow get sick? And unfortunately the answer is still yes, ma'am. And I'll ask you, how did she die? And you will have 3 beats to show me how she died, with any sound effect you would like it. Whatever way you choose. You'll get to do it twice, because I asked you these things twice each time. And then I'll ask, did the buzzards come? And usually I'm telling in the city, and they're not so sure about what buzzards are and how they eat dead animals, but they do. It seems to be the way God intended nature to clean up dead animals. And so they come and eat the dead animals. And so if there's a dead cow, oh yes, the buzzards did come. And then I'll ask, how did they come? And you spread, they're big birds and have really big wings. And they come flop, flop, flop. Okay? And the melody, again, it's almost a chant, so I don't feel as though I need to teach it to you. We'll just do it, and you'll get it certainly after the first verse. And it goes like this. I'll ask you. Did you feed my cow? Yes, ma'am. Did you feed my cow? Yes, ma'am. What did you feed her? Corn and hay. I said, what did you feed her? Corn and hay. Well, did you milk her good? Yes, ma'am. Like you know you should. Yes, ma'am. How did you milk her? All right. Milk her. Squish, squish, squish. Well, did my cow get sick? Yes, ma'am. Was she covered with tick? Yes, ma'am. How did she die? How did she die? Well, did the buzzards come? Yes, ma'am. For to pick her bones? Yes, ma'am. How did they come? Flap, flap, flap. I said, how did they come? Flap, flap, flap. I say, now how did they come? Oh, very good. You did great with that. I know that most of you here have read the good book. And if you have read the good book, you know that in it, it says God made everything. But it doesn't say in there anything about God having made frogs. And that's because he didn't make frogs. He made tadpoles and turned them into frogs. And this is how and why that happened. Now, if you've ever had to make tadpoles, you know it's just as easy to make a whole lot of them as it is to make just one, or two, which is what God did. He just made a whole lot of tadpoles, and they were everywhere. Why, they were getting downright annoying. They'd be on your kitchen counter, and you'd open your cabinet, and they'd fall out, and they'd be in your rug. You'd step out the door, and they'd be all over the stoop. People would have to yell, "Watch out! Tadpoles!" And you'd have to go tipping your way down the street just to avoid stepping on the little critters. Well, God knew they were a problem. So he called all those tadpoles to him, and they came running. "Yes, Lord." "Tadpoles," he said. "You know, there's a corn patch down by the creek yonder, and it's just choked up with weeds. I want you to go down there and weed that corn patch so the corn can grow straight and tall and we'll have good fruit to eat later." "Yes, Lord, we'll do that for you, Lord." So they went on down to the corn patch and they started pulling weeds and pulling weeds and pulling weeds. But it was a hot day. And they started pulling slower and slower and slower. Well, it just so happens old Nick was walking by for his daily constitutional, and he saw those tadpoles. And he asked them, "What are you tadpoles doing?" And they said, "Oh, we're pulling weeds. We're pulling weeds." "The weeds are growing faster than you're pulling them. Don't you realize that there's this nice, cool little creek right here, right next to the corn patch? If you was to just jump in there and have yourselves a little swim, you would cool yourselves off and be so refreshed you could just hop out of there and get this patch weeded in no time." "Well, I don't know," said the tadpoles. "Lord told us to come down here and pull weeds." "Oh." Well, Nick worked on them and worked on them and worked on them until finally one, and it only takes just one, decided he would try it. And so he jumped into the water, and it felt great. And he started playing in it, and it was moving water, so there were all kinds of currents and eddies, and he called the others to come in and try it, and they did. They were having a great time, and then one of them went down and discovered the mud. And started squiggling in the mud, and it felt so good on their smooth, wet skin. And they forgot all about pulling weeds. Days went by. Nick was out for another constitutional, happened to run into God. He said, "God, how's your creation going?" And God said, "Oh, it's good. It's mighty good." "Oh, well, I don't know. Some of these critters you're making are mighty trifling." "What do you mean?" "Well, take them tadpoles, for instance. I know you sent them down there to pull weeds, and I just walked by that corn patch. It's just as choked up with weeds as it ever was." Said the Lord. "I'd better call those tadpoles to me." And so he did. And the tadpoles came running. "Yes, Lord." "Tadpoles, what have you been doing?" "We've been swimming. We've been swimming, Lord." "And what did I send you down there to do?" "To pull weeds. You sent us down there to pull weeds." "Then why were you swimming?" Well, they didn't have a good answer. So the Lord said, "Just because you did not do what I told you to do, I'm going to cut off your tails." "Oh, no, Lord. Oh, no, please don't do that. Oh, it would hurt something awful, and we'd miss our tails. If we should just fall into the creek accidentally, then we wouldn't be able to swim, and we'd drown. Oh, please, Lord, don't cut off our tails." Well, the Lord heard their plea, and he was merciful, but, you know, He said, I always do what I say I'm going to do, but I can let you sprout legs. So he chopped off all their tails and let them sprout legs. And every single one of them tadpoles turned into frogs. And if you was to get yourself a bunch of tadpoles, even today, you could keep those tadpoles for a while, and eventually their tails would fall off, they'd sprout legs, and they'd turn into frogs. And even today, tadpoles are still mighty poor hands at pulling weeds. That's how the tadpoles lost their tails. This is a Hambone move that David Holt teaches. He doesn't teach it all the time because he doesn't always do this kind of a session, but I happened to be there when he taught this one. And he's a great percussionist, and when he does Hambone, it's like playing all of his body. He's really remarkable. But this is a very simple move that he taught. And to do it, you're going to use your thighs and your shoulders. You keep your hands relaxed, and you drag the back of your hand down the sides of your thighs, and then slap your thighs, right, and bring them up to your shoulders. So it's really a 3-beat thing. It's syncopated like a lot of African American rhythms. Down, up, hit. Down, up, down, up, down. Okay, but we're going to syncopate it so that it goes, well, I'm going to sing a little Hambone rhyme that most of you will be familiar with, I think, and you can sing along with me. But in between each line, we're going to go and cap it off with 2 beats. So it is syncopated. It's down, up, down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Good. All righty. Hambone, Hambone, have you heard? Down. Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird. If that mockingbird don't sing, Mama's gonna buy you a diamond ring. If that diamond ring turns brass, Mama's gonna buy you a looking glass. If that looking glass gets broke, Mama's gonna buy you a cart and goat. If that cart and goat fall over, Mama's gonna buy you a dog named Rover. If that dog named Rover don't bark, Mama's gonna buy you a horse and cart. That's it. If that horse and cart break down, you'll still be the prettiest little baby in town. Very good. There once was a woodcutter. Every day he went into the same woods to chop wood, take it out and sell it. He knew those woods like he knew his own hands. He knew every pathway, every tree, every bush. One day, as he was out in the woods, he heard a sound. That was odd. He had never heard those birds before. But he followed that sound. And he came upon 2 white birds that were caught in a bamboo trap. No one comes to these woods but me. Why would they come after these birds? If I leave them here, they will surely die. He did not see anyone around. So he opened the door of the bamboo trap and let the white birds go. And then he went about his work. And he forgot all about those birds. 25 years passed. He had married and moved away from those woods and had children, had a family, but he still longed to see those woods again. So he asked his wife, would you mind terribly if I just went back for one day and walked those woods again? And of course, she packed him a lunch, and he left early that day and got to the woods, and they were just as he remembered them. Oh, the trees were taller, the pathways slightly overgrown, but he could easily find his way. He walked for half a day, and it was time to eat the lunch his wife had prepared, and he ate, and then when he finished his meal, he stood up, and he was confused. He couldn't quite remember which way he had come, and he couldn't find the path. And it was suddenly growing dark fairly quickly. He tried for a bit more, but it was too dark to find his way home, so he decided he would just have to spend the night in the woods and walk out in the morning. So he was gathering leaves and moss to make a pallet there on the woodland floor when off in the distance, he saw a light. Well, that is odd. No one's ever been in these woods, as far as I can tell, and there was certainly no one living in these woods. But a light would mean food and shelter. So he walked towards that light, and there was a cabin. How odd, he thought. But someone must be home. The light is on within. So he knocked on the door and waited. The door opened, and he felt a slight chill go down his back. And before him stood a tall woman with long black hair that fell to the floor. She had a very pale face and fiery eyes. "What can I do for you?" she asked. And he explained his situation, and he asked if she could spare some food and give him a place to sleep for the night. And she said, "Yes, won't you come in?" And he stepped inside and felt another chill go down his back. She guided him to a table and one stool. He sat on the stool. There was nothing else in that cabin. She brought him 3 bowls, a bowl of rice, a bowl of steamed vegetables, a bowl of fragrant meats. It smelled so good. He ate. It was so good. He quickly emptied all 3 bowls, and he turned to ask her for more. But instead of the woman being there was a thick black snake that had coiled around itself and raised itself up. And where there would have been the head of the snake, there was the face of the woman. "I have waited for you for 25 years. 25 years? Did you know me?" "Oh, yes. Do you remember those 2 white birds?" Yes, I do." "Well, they were mine. I swore then that I would kill you. Oh, but if I'd known they were your birds, I certainly would not have set them free. I am so sorry. Won't you accept my apology? No! Well, in every story, every folk tale I've ever read or ever heard, there's always some way that the hero can save himself. Isn't there some way that I can save myself? Well, in the middle of this forest, there is a temple. In the center of that temple courtyard, there is a bell. If you can strike that bell 12 times before midnight, I will set you free. Oh, thank you so much. And the woodcutter ran to the door, but he couldn't open the door. He went to the window and he couldn't open the window. He couldn't break the window. He turned and he looked and he ran back to the snake woman and said, I can't get out of here. How can I find the bell if I can't get out of here? I know. That is your problem. And with that, she made her way over to the corner of the cabin, coiled around herself, and watched. The woodcutter tried to imagine the courtyard, the bell. He tried to slow his breathing and meditate on visualizing that bell and then ringing it. Nothing. He got down on his knees and prayed to every god that he ever knew, and nothing. After a while, he realized that he was going to die. So he sat down on that stool and thought about his family, his wife, his children, and he waited. About 10 minutes before midnight, he heard the scraping of her body along the floor as she approached his stool. And she pulled herself up to look at the woodcutter. And then he heard, bong, 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 12 times. And after the 12th bong, the cabin disappeared, the snake woman was gone, and he was standing exhausted, alone in the woods. He collapsed to the ground and slept. When the sun rose, he went about searching for that temple. Who could have rung the bell and saved his life? He finally found the temple, and it was in ruins. He opened the gate. It looked as though no one had been there for decades. Hello? Hello? There was no answer. He saw the bell, and so he began to circle the bell, and there, on the ground, were the broken, bloodied bodies of 2 white birds. He picked them up. Their hearts were still beating. They were alive. And so he stayed there, bound their wounds, fed them, took care of them, until for the second time in his life, he watched them as they flew, for he had set them free. The woodcutter went back to his home and lived with his wife and his children, and never saw the snake woman again. The woodcutter. Well, I have this other little blues song that I'd like you to sing with me. And, oh goodness, I met some musicians who said they knew it and that it dated back to the 1930s. And I got it, though, from a 1960s recording by the Jim Kweskin Jug Band. And I don't know how long they existed, but I know Maria Muldauer sang with them, and eventually she left them and had her own short career. But the lyrics are all about this. It's a nonsense blues, and the lyrics are all about this family. And I'd like you to sing the chorus, and I'll just sing the verses. And the words are, babies in the cradle, brothers gone to town, sisters in the parlor, trying on a gown. And let me point out that a parlor is not a beauty parlor. It's an old-timey living room where people would sit and have tea or demi-tasse and talk and visit. So even so, the daughter should not have been in the parlor trying on a gown. And mama's in the kitchen messing all around, and papa's on the housetop. He won't come down. So the melody goes like this. Let's try it one time, and then I'll start the song. Baby's in the cradle, brother's gone to town, sister's in the parlor, trying on a gown. Mama's in the kitchen, messing all around, and papa's on the housetop, he won't come down. Good. I'm going to pick up the tempo, and we'll start the song. Mama told Papa, be quiet as a mouse. Papa jumped up on top of the house. He made a lot of whoopee and made a lot of noise. Then he stood up and cheered with the rest of the boys. Here we go. Baby's in the cradle, brother's gone to town, sister's in the parlor, trying on a gown. Mama's in the kitchen, messing all around, and Papa's on the housetop, he won't come down. Great, the blues they come, yes, the blues they come. Nobody knows where the blues come from. The blues they go, yes, the blues they go. And everybody's happy when the old blues go. Here we are, baby's in the cradle, brother's gone to town, sister's in the parlor, trying on a gown, and mama's in the kitchen, messing all around, and papa's on the housetop, he won't come down. Great, well, Papa saw a chicken out in the yard. He picked up a rock and he hit him hard, killed that chicken dead. Now the chicken's in the gravy, and the gravy's on the bread. Here we go. Baby's in the cradle, brother's gone to town, sister's in the parlor, trying on a gown, and mama's in the kitchen, messing all around, and papa's on the housetop, he won't come down. Good. Now where's the baby? All right, and where's the brother? And where's the sister? And what's she doing? And where is the mama? Messing all around. And where is that papa? He won't come down. Very good. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming out today.